Welcome back, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in to Chatting with Travelinista. I am Jasmine, the Travelinista behind the Travelinista Travel brand, where we discuss all things travel. Today, we're going to be discussing traveling abroad and what mentality you need to pack with you in your suitcase, along with your most treasured items. So, when you are from the U.S., or when we are from the U.S., we have a tendency to be used to how life is in the U.S. So, from my experience when traveling abroad, let's just say, for instance, we'll use Europe in this case. When you're traveling to Europe, for the first time especially, there are going to be some things that are going to occur that may throw you off, for a lack of a better term, because you're so used to the luxuries, or maybe not so much of a luxury, that we have in the United States. So for an example, you may want to ensure that you check ahead of time what type of outlets the countries have. And I can tell you for a fact that Europe has a completely different outlet than the United States. And so you're going to want to bring an adapter, but you're going to want to literally Amazon search, Google search exactly what country you're going to go to, what type of outlets they have, and then they have specific adapters for whatever country that you're traveling to. Another notable is that we use Waze here, we use Google Maps, whatever you use for your GPS tracking system, and this is really important. It does not automatically mean that because it works here, that it's going to work in a different country. So you also want to do a little bit of research on where you're going and what navigation systems they're using so that you can download that app prior to, especially because sometimes the internet is completely different. In some cases, you have to have calling cards. You just never know. So, and when I say in some cases, a place where you definitely needed a calling card was Cuba, but are we even allowed over there right now? Not sure. So, just an example. You know, as very nice Americans in the United States, I don't think we have a disposition, but I've been told we have a disposition. We have certain expectations. We're used to certain luxuries. So, when you're traveling abroad, again, let's use Italy in this instance. People in Italy are not the same as people in the United States. They don't speak the same languages as we do. Some people may speak English, but it's a completely different language that's spoken over there. So you can't just go over there walking up to people, speaking English, get an attitude because they're going to look at you sideways, because generally that's kind of what happens. Just try to remain poised and nice, and look into translator apps. Look into Google Translate. Like, if you have questions, you may literally want to type your question in Google Translate before you get to a person so they can read it. Because a lot of times these people take it offensively when you come up to them with the expectation that they speak English and it's not their first language. And if you don't want to piss people off, or more importantly, if you want to get to where you're really trying to go to, then you have to make sure that you are being culturally sensitive. And that's something that, we don't really think about often, but it's important. And it's not just for Europe or Italy. I use that example because I actually have had experience with that. But anywhere, even if you're going to Africa, and you're coming from the States, just don't have that expectation that people need to speak the way that you speak, or they need to answer you, or be of great assistance the way that they are here, because it's just a completely different culture with completely different norms, and you want to respect that. Be considerate of the cultural differences, be considerate of language barriers, be considerate of certain countries feeling like they may not just want to speak English, even if they do know it. They want you to kind of come and respect their country. Some people look at it as respect. So that's what I generally do when I travel abroad. Google Translate. So food is another thing. So obviously you're traveling abroad, but again, in the United States, we're so used to a myriad of options. And so when you're going to these places, maybe there's an expectation. I don't have this expectation personally, but I do know, I understand that it may just kind of be like organic to have an expectation of like, oh, they have a steak here, or oh, they have a McDonald's here, or, you know, just some of those things that we have here that we're used to every day. These different countries may not have it. And so when you get there, you can look it up if you want to be proactive. You can look it up. I generally look up places that I want to eat because I'm a super duper planner. But if you're not, that's okay too. You can literally just get there. If you're, say for instance, they have like a little downtown area or a little city area, you can kind of walk around, see what they have to offer. So I'm not going to go to Italy and I'm not going to go there and say, oh, can I have a cheeseburger? Because a cheeseburger is American food. But Italy, so it's Italian, so maybe they'll have spaghetti. But I'm still not going to assume that. I'm going to look at the menu, or I'm going to look ahead to kind of prepare myself for their dishes. Because again, you don't want to come off as insensitive. Sometimes chefs may feel like you're insulting them when you ask for specific items that just, one, aren't organic, and two, just don't really resonate with the environment that you're in or the country that you're in at the time. So that's what Travelinista does. As a certified traveler, Travelinista, when I am going abroad, I always keep in mind that my customs, my culture, my norms are not necessarily the same as people's norms in the United States. So it definitely may not be the same as persons abroad. Personally, just always try to do research. And when I say research, I'm looking at what languages they speak. I'm looking at what time their breakfast, lunch, and dinners are. I'm just looking to see ultimately if there is anything that I can learn ahead of time that's going to help me to be more culturally sensitive, culturally considerate. Because at the end of the day, again, you're away from home. So you want to be sure that you're not offending persons. You also just want to be sure that you are knowledgeable so that when you get to where you're going to, you know exactly what to do and you know exactly how to do it. All in all, essentially what I'm saying is that you want to do some research and preparation so that when you get to these other countries or wherever it is that you're traveling to, that you are being considerate and that you are prepared. All right, guys, so that's it for now. Thank you so much for coming back to Chatting with Travelinista, where we discuss all things travel. Be sure to tune in next time for some more jewels and gems, Travelinista style.